Welcome to the Post-Purchase Pro Podcast.
This is the only podcast that dives deep into post-purchase marketing to help Amazon sellers increase sales, ranking, reviews, and profits. It's everything that happens after the initial sale that makes a difference. We call this the back end. The back end indeed, Seth. And here we are again. We have a special guest today. You know, we have the benefits, Seth, of just speaking to this gentleman yesterday. So we already have a little bit of rapport created there. Been looking forward to this interview. We have a very unique stack of questions to ask this gentleman. So Seth, why don't you go ahead and say hello? And without further ado, we'll go ahead and introduce our guest today.
Yeah, Sean, I know that you're going to be excited for this one because our guest is also named Seth, and not because you love the name, but because he comes from the same background that you're so passionate about, which is direct response marketing. Been around the game a long time. So let's welcome to the show, the CEO of Market Domination, Seth Greene. Seth, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Seth and Sean. It is an honor to be here. I'm big fans of yours, so I'm super excited to add some value to your audience.
Amazing. So Seth, like I said, thanks for showing up. As you know, our podcast, the Post-Purchase Podcast, is seller facing. So we have about 70,000 sellers in our community as a whole. We push the podcast out, the audible version, to everyone. We are now live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and I think that's all. So yeah, exactly. So sellers out there are always looking for, no hype, no fluff. Let's just get down to it. What can I do differently, or what should I be aware of? What should I avoid, right? That can give me a leg up in the business. So we're going to dive in to Market Domination program, first of all, and then we're going to ask you some questions to share some tidbits or golden nuggets of wisdom with our audience, Seth. So first question is, what is the reason? Like, tell me the history of why you created your company and how.
I created my company out of desperation. So I started out as a college financial aid advisor. Our claim to fame, and this is a couple decades ago, claim to fame in that business is cutting the cost of college tuition an average of $19,077 per year per child. And
say that number again?
$19,077 per year.
Wow, $19,777 per year.
$19,077 per year over 4 years. Average family saves $80,000 per kid. And the problem was when I started work at a Fortune 500 company doing that, this was a couple decades ago, my branch manager said, I got you a book where every client is going to come from your entire career. And I said, man, this is awesome. I just got my securities and insurance licenses. I'm young. I'm going to be rich. I'm going to get a Ferrari like in the movie. Give me the book. And he handed me the Yellow Pages. And some of your listeners aren't old enough to know what that is, but it's a giant book with every phone number in your city in it. And there wasn't even a do not call list back then, let alone the internet, social media, or Amazon. So he said, you make 300 cold calls a day. On average, you'll get one client a day. You'll get hung up on a lot, but you'll get one client a day. If you do it long enough and you don't shoot yourself, you can build a career. And I did not know well enough to not do that. So for years, I followed that formula until I had the good fortune to find my marketing mentor and yours too, Dan Kennedy, who Dan said, write me this really big check and I'll change your life and you'll never make another cold call again. His pitch was a lot better than that. I'm speeding it up for time.
It was a no BS pitch, I'm sure.
It was. So I begged my wife for 30 days in a row to let me go borrow more than our mortgage on the house we had just bought, which was our first house, right after she had quit her job and had our first baby. So a lot happened that year. And thankfully on day 31, she caved and said, you better pray this Dan Kennedy stuff works. It did. Best decision other than marrying me that she ever made, because in 2 years, there were 6,700 financial advisors at the company I worked at. I was in last place, dead last, because I was brand new. In 2 years of working with Dan, I was in the top 30 in the country. So it worked incredibly. And this is all with direct mail and print advertising. And it worked incredibly well. It got I got written about in every trade journal in the industry. My phone started ringing with financial advisors going, how do I do what you did? And I said, Dan, I faxed Dan. And I said, what do I do? And Dan said, you start a marketing company and you do it for him. So 16 years ago, we did. Market Domination LLC.com was born. We started out with me and one advisor client. What I did for him, which is what Dan taught me, worked. So I said, we're on to something here. That company has since scaled to multiple seven figures over the last 16 years. And we now have we've served thousands of clients in 63 different industries all over the globe.
That is quite the story, Seth. I love it. And our audience, just to give you some frame of reference, is made up predominantly of small-time entrepreneurs building their businesses using third-party platforms online like Amazon. And a lot of them are building their own brand. So they're responsible for all of the marketing, which is why I'm so excited to talk to you today. So when you look through your website, marketing or marketdominationllc.com, it starts talking about different avenues of marketing. So one of the things that you call out immediately is copywriting, and copywriting is salesmanship in print, which a lot of the newer Amazon entrepreneurs probably have never heard that before. But let's talk through what is copywriting, what is salesmanship in print, and why is that so important in the online environment today?
It's actually more important than ever now because there are so much competition, because there are so many, for example, sellers on Amazon that they need what you teach to maximize the value of those Amazon buyers. And I know one of the things that you teach is the words that you use. Copywriting is simply the words you use to get someone to do something. So if my wife says, honey, take out the garbage, technically that's copywriting. Now, is it a compelling mafia offer? No, it is not. If she said, if you take out the garbage, you will get X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and all these other 27 things. If you do it right now, then she could make an irresistible mafia offer and I would run to take the garbage out. So
Otherwise, it's copy nagging, right? Not copywriting.
He's here all week, folks. I've never heard that before. I'm going to use that. That's really good. So,
hey, you know where I got it? From Dan Kennedy himself, the no BS social media.
So, yes. So what is copywriting? It's the words you say that get people to do something, whether that is opting in on your post-purchase funnel, whether it is getting people to buy your product in the first place, whether it's people getting to the buy box. So it's it's basically your attempt, in our view and Dan's view, is if I was sitting nose to nose, toes to toes across the kitchen table from Sean Hart, and I wanted Sean to buy this water bottle, what would be the words I use to get him to buy that water bottle? That's the copy. So if it's my Amazon listing, it not only needs to be optimized for Amazon SEO and the keywords and all that stuff that I know you guys are experts in, it also needs to be optimized as a sales message to get a total stranger who's never going to meet me in person to say, I know this, this is what I want. I want to buy it. And even though there might be 27 other companies on the first page of Amazon for that keyword that are also trying to sell me the same thing, I'm going to buy from Sean's brand as opposed to Bob's brand because of the way Sean positioned that product.
So that brings me to a good question then. What is the toughest barrier for sellers to overcome today on Amazon? I think you've answered it, but let's unpack that a little bit if you would, Seth.
I think it's also the most fun one because it's the competition. It's the crowded marketplace. And most people say, oh, it's too competitive. I got to go into a market where there's nobody. Well, if there's nobody in that marketplace, there's probably no money in it either. I want more competition.
I love the way he simplifies this. This is remarkable. It's like, what words can I put out to make you an offer that you can't refuse? And if nobody's selling there's probably no demand for it. It's brilliant. It's simple, but it's brilliant.
Thank you. I agree 100%. So I want a competitive marketplace. The more clutter there is, the better I can stand out because everybody else will look the same. If you look at Amazon listings for any particular product and you compare 10 different Amazon listings, you'll think they all copied each other, which Dan Kennedy calls marketing incest, which may be in fact true, but they all say the same stuff about the fidget spinner or about the air heater or whatever it is. It's the copy that gets them to say, wow, this one is different. I got to buy from this guy, even this brand, even though, and hopefully because it costs more, right? I know your sellers they don't want to compete for the lowest price product on Amazon because that's a race to the bottom. They want to be the premium price provider of what they do, because if you charge more and you make more, you can provide a much better post-purchase experience and really maximize the value of that customer because you have more money to play with in terms of investing into customer ascension and acquisition.
I love it. So now that we're on this subject, okay, I also recognize that you're playing ball apparently with my number 2, my second favorite hustler from Cincinnati, Larry Flint obviously being number 1 and Kevin Harrington, my longtime friend, being number 2. So how long have you been working with Kevin Harrington? I started working with Harrington back in 2009, I believe it was. We did some deals together. a remarkable man, done a lot of things. Have all of his books over here. He's actually slept in my guest house. This was when Shark Tank was just starting to hit its run. So how are things going over there, and how are you changing it?
So we've been working with Kevin, I think at least 10 years.
Okay.
We've done a number of different projects for him. He co-hosts my Sharkpreneur podcast. We have worked with a number of his portfolio companies doing marketing for them or consulting with them to help them grow their front end customer acquisition and then maximize the value on the back end.
Sure. Okay. Yep. I had a lot of fun working with Kevin. We were actually neighbors, across the bay in Florida. So, yep, learned a lot. You know, this guy's been around, made a lot of contacts. Never can seem to make it to our private retreat anymore because he's always doing celebrity golf. But Seth, I know you have some questions lined up there. I just want to get that
I
out.
do. So Seth, when we started building brands on Amazon, it was like eye-opening because pre-Amazon, we had to do all of the nitty-gritty dirty work of, customer fulfillment and handling returns and all of these things that are kind of not very fun and not really our strong suit. But when you stepped into the world of Amazon, basically they handled all of the heavy lifting, and the only thing that we really were responsible for was the marketing piece. And I know that's your expertise as well. And the most fun part about the whole thing to me. So Seth, can you walk us through, like, you paid Dan Kennedy an ungodly sum, per your wife. She's now thrilled about it. So what did he teach you that was so important that could be applied to today's landscape?
He taught him how to take the trash out when his wife tells you to, Like I always say, Seth Greene, if you're married, you have to decide. You either want to be happy or you want to be right. You can't be both, right?
Very true. My wife and I have had that discussion on a semi-regular basis. And there are times that
Sorry, honey.
Yes, there are times that I have made the choice to be right, and it doesn't usually end well.
Love it.
All right. So, Dan Kennedy continues to teach me to this day. I would say some of the most important lesson, and what we found is informs about 50% of the success or failure of any Amazon listing, any Amazon marketing campaign, is the who. Who is your target market? Now, you might say, anybody could buy my miracle heater. Anybody could buy my eye ear. Well, they could, but anybody is not an ideal target market. You don't have the budget to reach them, and you can't really differentiate. Because of you guys, and what I learned in your book, one of your books, we have published many, many, many books as lead magnets on Amazon and done the same for our clients. But because of what I learned in Private Label Millionaire Secrets, we're now launching physical non-book products. And one of the things we did because of the book is, for example, one of them is an air filtration system. And we didn't just there's a million air filters and whatever on Amazon. And I said, they're giant companies. We're not going to stand out as just another better mousetrap. So what we're doing is we're creating a version of the product for every health condition that might need an air filter. So there's one for diabetes, there's one for COVID, there's going to be different versions for every disease or health conscious vertical. And the copy that we're starting with diabetes, because we already have a client who has a list in that space. And we did tons of research, and all of the copy written is directly aimed at, this is at diabetics. It speaks their language. When they see it, if they see ours versus any other regular filtration system, ours will, even though ours is significantly more money, we will win hands down.
So you obviously enjoyed the chapter in the book when Seth and I were breaking down how to target specific customer avatars as well as specific afflictions with regard to our hearing aids that we were selling on Amazon, as well as our pillows. So I think you really hit the nail on the head there when you said, know who you're selling to. Who is your customer? And even my 15-year-old son today, every time he's building business plans, Seth, I shared one with you yesterday, he always starts with who's the customer avatar. Seth, did you notice at the top there's Tyler and then there's Greg? And I said, who are those? And he explained to a T. And I always tell people, Seth Greene, I say, listen, if you can't tell me or visualize exactly who the end user is for your product, don't launch the product. Okay? If you don't know who you're selling to, how in the heck are you going to do a good job in marketing, right? What do you say?
I say 100% accurate. We have avatars in our own business. For our marketing agency, like we have financial advisor Frank, and we have estate planning lawyer Edward, and we have, and we can describe, we got fake pictures on the wall, and we can describe, okay, he's 45 years old and he plays golf once a month, but he wants to play more, and he's married and he feels like he's working too many hours and he's missing kids' soccer games because he's stuck at the office, and he should be more successful than he is. And how come the guy down the street is working way better when he's a worse advisor than this guy? So, we've got pages and pages of all of that. And every time we do it, it's a lot of fun. We do a lot of research to really get the psychographics of that person, so that when we write copy, whether it's an Amazon listing or an email campaign or a post-purchase direct mail campaign, my favorite response is not just someone buying, someone taking action. I like the extemporaneous emails we get to whatever email address it is, where someone says, "Do you have a webcam in my house?" Where they're like, "Oh my God, like that is exactly my life." And I'm like, that means we got it right.
I love it. So Seth, you read our book, you understand where we came from, and you understand who we're speaking to. And it sounds like to me that you have a lot of experience in the same field. You've already given us the nuts and bolts of what Dan Kennedy has taught you. And you called out, speaking to one customer at a time, the who, right? But before we let Sean jump in here and show you his son's marketing plan, I want you to think about this question. Speaking directly to an Amazon seller who's struggling to grow their sales, what would you do differently? Like, yes, the who's important, but actually, what would you do differently? You said you love a competitive marketplace because it gives you an opportunity to stand out. What exactly would you do to stand out, Seth?
So there's a number of different things. I would say, number one, we talked about laser focused copy and messaging. Number two would be, I wouldn't do it myself. So one of our company's claim to fame is we recruit 50 affiliates to promote your brand for you. So somebody else out there already has your list of perfect customers, right? Like there's people, we talked to someone the other day who has an email list of 2 million diabetics. So my goal is, I'm going to go recruit 50 affiliates, get them to promote me to their list, because now it's not just Amazon hopefully showing my listing in the right place. It's somebody sending an email to their 2 million diabetics, driving them to my Amazon listing, which is going to skyrocket how I get shown more often, because Amazon will love the free traffic, and they are more likely to convert because we already know they have that condition and they're looking for a solution. So I would say, we talked about the copy. Number two, get other people to promote your business for you. It's easier, faster, and cheaper than doing it yourself.
And which actually equates into more profit, right?
Also true.
Yeah. So check this out. This is, and I'm a proud dad, obviously. This is my 15-year-old son. He's been doing this stuff since he was 13. So he showed me this yesterday, and I said, explain to me, who's Greg? Who's Luke? And I tell you what, Seth, this kid he tells me exactly who these two avatars are. He's got all this stuff built out, ready to go. So here's what I say, Seth. If a 15-year-old can do it, why in heck can't you do it? You're a professional Amazon seller, right? So let's figure out who your target audience is, and then speak to them in a language that not only gets their attention, specifically calls them out, but also compels them to take action, an action that's mutually beneficial for you and them, Seth.
Amen. 100%. I love that he's got the graphics of that funnel flow all built out. If you don't hire him, I will send him my way.
Don't tell him now. He's in training. we need him to finish school first. I'm trying to get him stay away from the women, stay away from the bad habits, and stay focused in school and business.
There you go. Amen. 100%. Yeah, I love that he's got the funnel flow built out. I'd be very curious to see who those avatars are and what he wants to sell them. And because he's 15. So you know what? I learn a lot from my kids. I have, 2 teenagers and 1 almost teenager, and they keep me on the cutting edge. I ask them at least once a week, what's the new app that you're on? What's a networking social media type of thing that I don't know about yet? Right. My kids were the ones who taught me about TikTok. And then they got my daughters got my wife into it. And then I said, let's try some of this marketing stuff on your TikTok thing. And now she's got almost 10,000 followers. So I would love to hear from him, and the kids know what's coming before we do. So make sure and ask him.
Okay, so before you answer this question, what's your best kept secret today for Amazon sellers? We're all approaching a new year, and the new you is what a lot of us like to say. Let me just play this mid roll thing while you think about it. Hey there, it's Sean Hart. If you found the information on the Post Purchase Podcast useful and impactful for your business, do us a favor and your colleagues a favor. Share this, like us, and let others know how to find us on your social channels. We'd sure appreciate you. Now let's get back to the show. Thank you. So, Seth, your best kept secret for 2023.
My best kept secret is whatever hair product you used in that roll, man. You have awesome hair. What the heck is with the hat?
Well, I wear hair product every day, and the lady that does my hair says you got to let your scalp breathe once in a while. So I just run around with
hat. What is we don't have, they're not secrets because we freely share them with everybody, right? So I would say our best kept secret is our process, which we're happy to give your listeners, which teaches you how to go get 50 affiliates over the next 50 weeks to promote your brand on Amazon for you so that they do all the heavy lifting. You don't have to spend the money building the email list or paying for traffic because they already have it. And we've got a process to turn them into raving evangelists for your brand and thus, automate a whole lot of your marketing at a fraction of the cost of what it would cost you to go build the same things they've already got.
So Seth, you're speaking my language, because the number one way that Sean and I have grown this business, Post Purchase Pro, is by partnering with people that already have our audience, which is exactly what you're talking about. And then if you take that same concept and you apply it to Amazon, where you're taking the pocket of customers that already exist and you send them to Amazon, you not only get sales, but you get ranking because Amazon sees that traffic as highly valuable, and then they reward you with keyword ranking. So I absolutely love it. So Seth, can you talk us through how can people seek you out to have you do that for them?
Yeah, so we're happy to give them our process. So number one, you can get it in my book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast. That is at ultimatepodcastbook.com. Book is free. You just pay for the cost of shipping, or shipping is free. You pay for the cost of the book, whichever way you want to look at it. It's the best $10 you'll ever spend.
Say that URL again. Ultimatepodcastbook.com.
Ultimatepodcastbook.com. If you don't like it, I'll give you your $10 back. It will be the best $10. You spelled ultimate wrong.
Oh, nice. I'm going to blame that on May. Actually, I did that. Sorry, May. I got in a hurry.
If you want a video version where I go on a long video, step-by-step through every part of our psychology of how we recruit those, it's still spelled wrong, how we recruit. Over how we recruit affiliates, how we pick them, how we market to them, all of that stuff. Shoot me an email. I know they've displayed the email several times. I will happily email you a link to watch that video. It's an hour and a half to 2 hours long, but it is literally a master class in go identify and recruit 50 affiliates to promote the heck out of your brand. And in case you're listening to this as opposed to watching it, the email is Seth@marketdominationprogram.com.
Seth at marketdominationprogram.com. So let me ask you, can you share a quick case study of something like a before and after? You don't have to give details, but give us an idea of something that you've done where your clients have seen profound success from.
Okay, so I will give you one. How much time do we have?
You have at least 7 minutes.
Okay, so I'm going to give you one physical bricks and mortar.
But we have more questions.
Okay. So we are working with a 8-figure e-commerce direct-to-consumer company. One of the things that we were able to help them with, we found, was they did not have anything going from their Amazon listing to get into our own funnel. They had no upsells, they had no downsells, they had no cross sells, they had no other than the shipping delivery stuff, there was no real post-purchase marketing. We didn't call it that while we were working with them because we didn't know you guys yet. But we just call it maximizing lifetime customer value. By implementing some of those things, we were able to increase their sales tens of millions of dollars.
Nice. I'd say that's a pretty good case study. So now that you shared a case study, if you don't mind, Seth, tell us now, who's the perfect client to work with for you? Who's your client? Who's your customer avatar?
So we've got two different verticals. One is a white collar professional practice. So that could be an information marketer. It could be a coach, a consultant, a speaker. It could be a financial advisor, accountant, doctor, or lawyer that needs clients, leads, webinar attendees, stuff like that. Then the other side of the space is our e-commerce division. So that's Amazon sellers, those evil Shopify sellers, people who sell on places other than Amazon, but they need more of the right traffic to their listings or their store, and they need more maximum. They should go to you for the post-purchase marketing, but if they want help with the traffic on the front end, we can help them.
I love it. So we have another special guest. Cash, come over here. I want to introduce you to someone. So this is the remarkable young 15-year-old hustler. I want to introduce you to Seth. He said, if you don't hire him, I will. This is the idiot that built this. Explain to Seth who Greg and Luke is. Would you?
Oh,
Sit down.
okay. All right. I'm live. Okay. Gosh, should put some makeup on. Well, Greg and Luke are our customer avatars, and the reason why we have two is because Greg is working a job, like throughout 9 to 5, obviously, and Luke has more free time, so we can run ads throughout, the whole day instead of just 6 to 12 after Greg gets off of work. But you said you wanted me to explain why we have two, or just explain the whole thing?
No, tell me the psychographics of Greg. Like, who is he as a person?
Well, Greg is a 30-year-old with 2 kids and a wife. He has a mortgage on his house, 2 car payments, and he wanted to do something when he was younger, but then he went to college and got in a whole bunch of debt and just started a job, and he basically fell into that loop. But he's just starting to want to do something again, start searching up. Like he starts looking into how to start a business these days and how to run an online Shopify store, stuff like that.
That is awesome.
And Luke is a high school graduate with wealthy parents that want him to do something, either go to college for business or want him to start his own business, but he doesn't know exactly what to do. So he has wealthy parents to back up his decision of buying the course to teach him how to make money and how to start a business. And he has more free time throughout the day to look that stuff up.
That is awesome. What do you know what you're going to sell them yet?
Yes, I'm going to sell them. Well, I ran I don't know how to describe it. It's I ran a business where it was like remote outdoor sales. So it was like passive. You just set it up, the location, and you don't have to be there. You just answer sales calls over the phone and you sell your product. And you only need like $500, $600 to open it. So it's easy, it's low barrier, and you're profitable from like day one. You know what I mean? So anyone can do it. And I scaled that up to 15 different locations, hired my uncle and my grandpa, and I think I did $53,000 or $60,000 in like 6 months. So I'm selling them a step-by-step course exactly how to do that.
That is awesome. I want to buy that course. I'll be your first customer. I'll be your first affiliate because we'll promote it for you. And if your dad does not hire you, he's an idiot and you can come work for me.
All right, get out of here, dirtbag.
You can try being nice.
He's my son. It doesn't count. He loves me anyway. But yeah, he's on fire for business. And Seth often, Seth's got, how old's Graham now? 3?
Graham's 3. Cash is 15.
I was going to say, Graham doesn't have a funnel yet.
He's working on his first funnel to get monster trucks.
It's so funny. I started the world's youngest affiliate marketer show with my kids when they were really, really little, and they'd be on YouTube. You can find it. Like, we don't do it anymore, but they would do like toy reviews on Amazon and make affiliate commissions. And the funniest thing was my son trying to explain to his friends to get them to come do videos. And they're like, I don't want to sell my toys. He's like, no, we're selling other people's toys. And then when I gave them like their first check for the videos they were in, their friends he would always be like, Dad, now they're all annoying. They want to go when we can do more videos at Max's house.
Okay, so here's a quick question for you. What kind of special offer do you have for listeners of this show or viewers of this live stream? If they want to engage with you, do you have like a checklist or something like that?
Yes, they can go get the book at ultimatepodcastbook.com. The offer is, if you want the video version of the book, which is like an 1.5 to 2 hour video walking through the entire psychology step-by-step of how you go recruit 50 affiliates for your brand, shoot me an email, tell me you heard me on this podcast, and we will get you that video, which is normally my keynote speech, which people normally pay to go to a conference to hear, you can get for free.
All right.
That's
Seth,
great.
I know
So
you have some fun
please,
questions.
please email Seth. Sean, go ahead and pop that email back up there. Thank you, Seth. For all the audio listeners, it's Seth at marketdominationprogram.com. Seth, we have a very special ending segment of the show. I think you've probably been exposed to it a little bit if you've listened to any of our podcasts. First question I have for you, you've got all this experience. You have been mentored by Dan Kennedy. So let's ask you right now, what is your all-time favorite business book?
Oh man, yeah, I gotta pick one. Okay, I see the subtle plug there from Sean. That's nice. Private Label Millionaire Secrets. What a cool, I haven't read the other one. I just ordered all the other ones.
Okay.
I didn't know they were out there. Favorite business book? I can't give you one. I'm going to give you a couple. Novel would be Atlas Shrugged. Favorite business book? Anything by Dan Kennedy. Anything by Russell Brunson. Anything by you guys. But number one, I got to pick is Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, perfect. Sean, are you popping those up there?
I'm trying to. I just have to watch my spelling because he'll call me out on it.
Atlas Shrugged, Dan Kennedy, and Think and Grow Rich. These are the segments of the podcast that I listen to that I always like pause and like, okay, let me just go ahead and download that on Audible really quick. So I always want to reiterate because sometimes I'm listening to a podcast and I'm like, what did he say? I can't understand it. So thank you so much for the recommendations there, Seth. Sean, go ahead.
He said Atlas Shrugged, anything by Russell Brunson, anything by Dan Kennedy, anything by Sean Hart and Seth Stevens, and then Think and Grow Rich, which is the classic by Napoleon Hill. Have you ever read any Og Mandino, Seth?
Of course, all of them.
Okay, great. I actually committed the greatest salesman in the world to memory when I was Cash's age. Although I wasn't quite as handsome as him, I had to memorize it, so I didn't have to carry the book around in my pocket. All right.
I paid my son when he was about 5, $1 a page to read Think and Grow Rich. And that led to his original first business of toy review videos.
That's amazing.
Review videos. That's awesome. That's a lot to be proud of as well. So here's the last favorite question. What's something that you, Seth, have purchased in the last year? Some may consider it a splurge, but you don't regret purchasing it.
Oh, man, that's a good question. I would say investing in my own personal development. A person who works a 9 to 5 who doesn't get it might consider going to a seminar, joining a mastermind, buying a couple $1,000 course or whatever is a splurge. To me, one of my favorite quotes is, who you are affects how well what you do works. And our business takes geometric leaps in revenue when I have an epiphany, when I work on myself as a person and my personal and spiritual growth, as opposed to just because we figured out a new whiz-bang marketing technique.
So Seth, let me pause you right there. And because, I think the same way, what did you actually invest in yourself over the last 12 months that was like, oh, this is amazing?
Man, you want a list?
I just want your favorite.
Joining EO, Entrepreneurs Organization.
Okay. I've definitely been exposed. That's great. So Sean, let's wrap this thing up.
Yep. So one thought, one idea that you want to listeners to take away, and as soon as you finish answering this, we'll go into our closing role. But don't go anywhere. I still want to pick your brain.
Get other people to grow your business for you.
That is what we do every day.
For you. Hey, truer words or more prosperous words were never spoken. Seth Greene, folks, CEO, MarketDominationLLC.com. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere, man. We'll see you next week, everyone.